Thank you very much. Let me bring in Senator Chris Murphy of Connecticut. Senator, unfortunately, usually when you and I get a chance to talk, it's on an occasion like this. I want to let you react to just some of the details here. People having to hide behind bowling pins. Joey's father, who is the manager there, saying that he did try to help. He stepped in, he had a butcher knife. Obviously, that is nothing compared to an assault rifle. Just your reaction to this happening again.
Yeah, none of this is inevitable, Joy. None of this is bad luck. This is a choice that we make in this country to live like this. The entirety of Lewiston is locked down tonight. Everybody in that community is trembling with fear. But you know what? That reality plays out every single day for kids that live in dangerous neighborhoods, kids who fear for their life every morning and every afternoon when they walk to and from school. Every child in this country now has to go through mass shooter drills. This is literally corrupting the soul of America. And for what? For what? In my state, we don't allow you to buy these semi-automatic assault weapons. And I don't hear a lot of complaints from people in my state that want to hunt or shoot for sport or protect their home. It's time for this country to wake up to the fact that it's a choice that we make as leaders and as voters to accept this reality. If we ban these assault weapons, if we had stricter universal background checks, we just wouldn't have to live with this epidemic of almost daily mass slaughter in this nation. So, I'm furious every single day, but particularly on days like this when another community is going through what my community of Sandy Hook and thousands of others have had to go through across the country.
Right. And everyone thought in their minds that Sandy Hook would be it because we're talking about little kids and that maybe people would do something, nothing much has happened. I will note that there are 21 states that do have extended background checks that go beyond the federal requirements. Maine is not one of them. In fact, Maine has tried to do some, changes in terms of its gun laws, but they don't allow guns in K through 12 schools. They do not have a stand your ground law. They do have secure storage, but they don't have things like background checks, red flag laws, high capacity magazine prohibitions, training required to carry concealed guns, school threat assessment teams, that kind of thing. But I want to have you react to another thing that my producers handed me from military.com, because this seems related. There was a bill that recently passed that gives veterans who are deemed mentally incompetent easier access to guns. Senate approval seems pending. The Senate just approved a measure that would ease some veterans' access to guns, brushing aside objections from most Democrats in the Department of Veteran Affairs. This is a person who had been deemed to have some mental issues. What do you make of the fact that some of your colleagues want to make it easier for those folks to get guns?
So this amendment that you're talking about passed yesterday afternoon, just hours before this shooting. And what this proposal does, that is now baked into the Senate appropriations bill that is speeding towards passage, would allow veterans who have been deemed mentally incompetent, 1/3 of them who are schizophrenic, to regain their gun rights. People who are actively suicidal, who have massive, serious cases of PTSD, would be able to get their weapons back. For 3 decades, we have said that veterans who have been deemed to be mentally incompetent, they shouldn't get weapons, because I thought we all agreed in this country that if you were seriously mentally ill, you shouldn't get your hands on a gun. Maybe now, after this episode tonight, in which a mentally ill individual who is a member of the military carried out this crime, maybe we will think twice about passing into law the amendment that we passed yesterday. It is just amazing to me that this country and many of my colleagues are still so cavalier about allowing people with serious mental illness, in this case, mentally incompetent veterans, to have guns. It just feels like this country wants us to be more careful about it, and Congress needs to get with the program.
I will note that the member of Congress who represents this area where the shooting took place has now apologized to his constituents for not supporting stronger gun legislation. I think we might have the sound of that. Let's take a listen.
I have opposed efforts to ban deadly weapons of war like the assault rifle used to carry out this crime. The time has now come for me to take responsibility for this failure, which is why I now call on the United States Congress to ban assault rifles like the one used by the sick perpetrator of this mass killing in my hometown of Lewiston, Maine. For the good of my community, I will work with any colleague to get this done in the time that I have left in Congress.
Your reaction?
Well, I applaud Representative Golden for changing his mind based upon the facts that he has seen. For those of us who have lived through these experiences, who have spent time with the victims of these mass shootings, especially mass shootings involving assault weapons, it's just common sense to get rid of these weapons. It's hard to describe what a body looks like when it has been torn apart by bullets coming out of an assault weapon, especially if that's a child's body. But you know what, Joy? I wish it didn't take a mass shooting in a congressman's district for them to be converted. It's going to happen in your district, in your state, sooner or later. So why wait until it happens to you? Why not get out ahead of this? Being for an assault weapons ban before it happens in your state or your district is what may prevent it from happening in your state or your district. So listen, I am glad for Representative Golden's declaration tonight. We are a little bit closer to passing an assault weapons ban in the House and the Senate because of his decision. But I wish folks got there before it happened to them in their community.
Yeah, and it's unlikely that something like that would pass in the House as it's currently constructed now. Let me take you from the sublime, I guess, to the ridiculous. This is Fox News's a set of their reactions to the shooting.
We need serious law and order. That means that we need to defund sanctuary cities. But that means we need to acknowledge the cancer in America that is mental health.
We have to have a greater ability for our citizens to protect themselves, because it's clear the law enforcement comes in after the massacre.
When something like this happens, what is your plan? What do you do? I have a personal security plan. I train in mixed martial arts. I've been a big believer in the Second Amendment for a long time.
Sean Hannity believes that his mixed martial arts training will protect him from a mass shooting. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, this is like so tired. They pull out these tropes, shooting after shooting. Yes, no, mixed martial arts doesn't do you much good against an AR-15. But frankly, neither does having a weapon. If, having a ton of guns in your community kept you safer, America would be the safest country in the world. Inside the United States, states and communities that have more guns are more violent. And so it's just a myth that having more guns keeps you safer. And this idea that it's mental illness, yes, of course we have a mental illness epidemic in this country. Of course we should treat people with mental illness. But we don't have more mental illness than Europe or Asia. We don't spend less money on treating mental illness than those other communities. But we have all the gun violence. Why is that? Because in this country, if you are having a break with reality, we allow you, like you can get your hands on a bottle of water, to get your hands on a weapon of mass destruction. It's the access to guns that makes America different than other places, which is why we have all the mass shootings. So I would love for there to be some originality in the defenses that the right and that Fox News gives to the state of mass shootings in America. It's the same stuff, shooting after shooting. All of it is talking points from the NRA. The American public knows this. That's why they are increasingly deselecting from Congress people who stand with the NRA and electing to Congress people who want to change our gun laws.
Senator Chris Murphy, I want to thank you. I just want to put up before we go the list of the top 5 countries with the highest numbers of civilian firearms per 100 residents. And we are right up there, way, way, way at the top. And there is no other country that's not at war that you can go to or you have to worry about getting shot at a bowling alley. Senator Chris Murphy, thank you very much.